The idea is to make this event extremely visible, of course, in Iran, but also in the region. Remember, is also the body of the Supreme Leader is also being transported into Iraq, into the holy sites of Najaf and Karbala. So the idea is really to reflect not just the bureau of an Iranian leader, but also like what the Iranians see as a regional leader, at least for the Shia communities in the Arab world and in Pakistan and beyond. So the idea is to really make it a global event, not just an Iranian event.
4 months on from the start of the war between the United States and Iran, the funeral of Ayatollah Khamenei has taken place, with millions descending on Tehran and traditional mourning rituals being observed. Ya Hussein! Well, Benoit Faucon is the Wall Street Journal Middle East correspondent and joins me now. Good afternoon, Benoit.
Hi.
This is more than a head of state funeral, isn't it? It's a religious mega event, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, political and religious at the same time. Remember, he's the one who ran the Islamic Republic for 37 years and really consolidated the regime. It's sort of tenements, which is like anti-Americanism, the excess of resistance and, the obviously theocracy, the religious regime. So it's who is being buried is like the most potent politician in the current regime, doing in some way one of the two most important in the entire life of the regime.
And was Iranian high command out in the open? Just describe what happened, what people could witness.
Well, that's the issue. That first, it's starting tomorrow, and he's going to be, laying in rest and being taken to different places, including in Iraq. But the new leader of the regime, his son, Mojtaba Khamenei, is not to be seen. I've heard he may appear on video, for instance, but he's not appeared in public, and there is no plan to actually bring him in public officially for security reasons. We know that he was wounded, even we've heard twice during the war. So it's a very strange situation where the new leader is everywhere in pictures, but in reality has never appeared either in video or physically in public.
And what is the intel on his injuries? Because there's been a lot of speculation about they're so serious that he can't appear in public right now. What are you picking up?
So what we've heard is he was wounded the first time when he's on the strike on his father's compound. And then he was hospitalized. And then there was another attempt on his life, apparently that was worse than the first one, with apparently very severe burns that we heard. And that really complicated his ability to function and at least to communicate publicly. Now, I don't know what is his current physical state, but I know there was these two attempts and that the third one was very serious and means it's actually very complicated to bring in public. But again, we've heard that it's possible it will be brought in videos where obviously you can't see everything. And there's a delay to meet, families of martyrs of the war.
How much paranoia is there at the moment at the regime level about security?
I would say that's pretty maximum peak, considering you're going to have, 20 million people potentially, but also a large part of the leadership of the so-called axis of resistance, the groups that Iran supports, whether the Hamas for the Palestinians, Iraqis, the Houthis of Yemen, and of course Hezbollah. So you're going to have a maximum potential for the Israelis in terms of targeting. And, the question mark, of course, for the Iranian regime is whether will they use that opportunity to strike again.
And in terms of, you're talking about the axis of resistance there, but what about foreign leaders more broadly?
Absolutely. They'll be there as well. We've seen the Pakistanis were key mediators. We've seen, for instance, the Saudi foreign minister, the head of the parliament in Qatar, the Shura. So you basically have, a lot of foreign dignitaries. And, I don't know if there is a risk on them, but there is a risk of collateral damage of them potentially.
And how much is being televised? How much will the outside world be able to see?
Well, that's normally enormous amount. because the idea is to make this event extremely visible, of course, in Iran, but also in the region. Remember, it's also the body of the Supreme Leader is also being transported into Iraq, into the holy sites of Najaf and Karbala. So the idea is really to reflect not just the bureau of an Iranian leader, but also like what the Iranians see as a regional leader, at least for the Shia communities in the Arab world and in Pakistan and beyond. So the idea is to really make it a global event, not just an Iranian event.
And obviously there's been such a crackdown on communications more broadly. You know, people can't use the internet. How much of that crackdown is still in force now?
So there's two dimensions. The first one is even in the worst of the crackdown, there was a so-called whitelist of people who have a SIM card that is kind of not filtered in terms of even use of, social media messaging tools like WhatsApp. As far as I can see from this morning, I've been speaking to people. The communication are working. It has been eased after the war, but of course the question is it eased universally or just for people who could give a positive account of the events unfolding in Iran?
And just zooming out really, and just looking at the situation with Iran and the US, and is peace holding or not?
I mean, it's holding. The question is, it's holding as in there's been still exchange of fire, but fundamentally the ceasefire has broadly held up. There's a preliminary peace pact, which obviously is kind of problematic because even its implementation, whether the full reopening of Hormuz or the end of the war in Lebanon, and the release of cash for Iran, none of this has actually fully materialized. So even the peace pact itself is very fragile and incomplete in its implementation. And that was the question whether people are buying time on both sides before we're starting the fighting, or whether we're heading for potentially something more constructive.
And in terms of the number of vessels going through the Strait of Hormuz, that is still a trickle compared to normal transit.
Absolutely. It's really a fraction. I mean, typically it would have gone 100, 138 before the war. Now the latest I've checked, it was about 40. So it's clearly very diminished. And because it's so unsafe, that limitation, that reduced traffic is likely to last for some time.
Benoit Faucon, thank you very much for joining us. The Wall Street Journal Middle East correspondent there, putting us in the picture on that state funeral. Coming up, we'll be checking in on the markets with Times' business columnist Ian King, and we'll ask whether Harry Kane deserves that knighthood. You've got some strong views. They've been coming in on messages before he even sets foot on the pitch for England's match against Mexico. You've made it very clear, and keep those messages coming now. WhatsApp 0333 003 2353 or text 87222 and add the word Times. So let's get the latest news now.